What's up, guys? My name is Label. I'm the creator of Mintopoly, and I wanted to give you guys another developer update to kind of share what we've been working on, what we're working on now, and what you can expect in the near future. So, as I'm sure you're aware, since the last time we talked, we've released the Mintopoly News Network. And this is by far the biggest project we've been working on. And I'm sure you know how it works by now, but this is a gameplay feature where events will happen in real time within the Mintoverse that affect your gameplay by adjusting staking balances or adjusting the cost or earnings of investments. And there's no question that getting this working across all conditions was extremely complex and challenging because it really touched every aspect of the gameplay and tallying systems behind the scenes. So a lot of the code base had to be rewritten and updated to account for these changes. But I'm really happy to say that we're there now. All the different event types are working perfectly. They're all very stable, and it's a really cool feature. We've been thrilled with the player feedback on this so far. I think it really does add a layer of dynamism and unpredictability that makes the game that much better. Now, while we were working on this, we also managed to release quite a few new features as well. The first is the Explorer. Now, this game is really built on data, right? And it's also simulated around blockchain technology, which is also built on open access to data. So my goal is always to make as much data public as possible, and the Explorer, I think, gives players really an unprecedented level of access to the game's data. You can now view a leaderboard that doesn't just show you net worth, but also earnings per block, the number of mining rigs or other investments a player might have, their staked value, really everything. So in a game that's built on data, this has been a really big addition, I think, and it's kind of my personal project that I'm continuing to build upon and make hopefully even more data available and presented to you guys in a way that's accessible and useful as you're playing. Now, another thing you may have noticed is that we also released a whole new design refresh on the front-end pages, not only with better graphics and more polish, but also better language and communication to help new players jump into the game and understand what it's all about even faster. And feedback on these new designs has been great. I think you guys really like them, and I think they're definitely a step in the right direction. Finally, just this week, as I'm speaking, we're finishing up the Mintopoly card vending machine, which is in final testing and should be ready in the next few days. This allows you to buy Mintopoly NFT cards directly from Mintopoly rather than having to buy from our listings on OpenSea or just directly through me. And the biggest advantage here is that it reduces gas fees, often 4 or 5 times lower than OpenSea. This app will essentially allow you to buy a single card from an individual category where it will randomly pick one and send it to you from that category, or you can buy a pack where it will select 4 or 6 random cards from distinct categories and send those. And also with pack purchases, they include a chance of receiving a very rare Founders Edition card, which is a very powerful one-of-one NFT. So stay tuned for all the details on that over the next few days. And that's kind of a snapshot of where we've been, some of the big highlights. There's been a lot of other work behind the scenes, but certainly the MNN took the lion's share of our focus for quite a while. But now that's largely behind us, we're able to move much more quickly. In fact, I would say everything else on our roadmap combined should be faster and easier to implement than the news network. So progress should be a little quicker in the coming months. And I'd love to talk about what's coming up, what you might expect to see from us in the very near future. Now, the first thing is a player reward system. This was actually recently suggested to me by a group of players, and I thought it was such a brilliant idea that I moved it to be one of our top priorities. Now, the idea is that I feel like this game could really benefit from a progression system. So right now, the game resets every week, and you start over. Now, certainly you earn Mintopoly money, and that's a big deal, which we'll talk about much more in a moment. But having some kind of in-game rewards, where the more you play, the more upgrades you receive, and the more powerful your character or your account becomes, that could be really incredible for this game and a really powerful feature. So we plan on leveraging the existing promo card system for this. As you may know, promo cards are the non-NFT cards that give you similar but smaller effects than the true NFTs. And they're permanent in your account, so you can always use them. And right now you can earn one by referring a friend or refer 5 friends, and you can get an even more powerful card. So we plan on using that same system to reward players for completing additional types of challenges. The exact details I'm still kind of working out. They'll be released probably in the next week or two. But we plan on first introducing a yield farm promo card that will be awarded to players who finish in the top 50% of 4 different rounds, followed by several additional cards over the coming weeks and months as we add new gameplay challenges. So we think this will be kind of game-changing for Mintopoly, as it gives everybody the chance to basically play their way into a higher and higher position over time. We're also now working on some improvements to add even more data to the Explorer so that you can see a player's actions during a given round, see every purchase, every stake, all their data for the round, as well as displaying the news network events with all the players who were affected by each event. And we're working on some other kind of boring but important admin tools to help the game run more efficiently, to get airdrops out quicker, and things like that. Now, beyond all of that, over the next month or so, our attention will then turn almost entirely to creating in-game uses of the tokens, which is very important and long overdue. In fact, I'm already personally writing smart contracts and doing the game design work to make sure that happens as quick as possible. And I'll have much more to share on that front sometime in March. But what I can say is that we'll be introducing a ticket or credit system. And you can think of them as like carnival tickets, like those paper tickets, where you can purchase them with Mintopoly money tokens, and then they'll live in your account, and then you can instantly spend them on various types of in-game boosts. Things like an auto-staking feature, so that it'll deposit all of your cash into your staking balance at the minimum rate limit, for 8 or 12 hours. Possibly the ability to rent promo cards for 1 round. Maybe the ability to block yourself from showing up on the leaderboard so you can hide your actions for a while. There'll be a lot of really cool uses for these tickets over the coming months, and I'll have, again, a lot more to say about them over the coming month or so as we get closer to releasing that. So that's a look at where we've been and where we're headed in the immediate future. But lastly, I just wanted to shift our focus towards the bigger picture for a moment. I hope you can see from everything we've talked about that I am very, very committed to making this current simulator game as complete and dynamic and as enjoyable as possible for years to come. But I've always intended for the current game to be really just the core of a much, much bigger universe, a Mintoverse. And I see the current blockchain simulator game as really an engine for this early stage distribution of the tokens directly to the community of players who play the game and care the most. And that's what's so incredible and often overlooked about this project, is that it's the community of players who care the most who end up with the most share of this economy, the most tokens, the most NFT cards. But that in itself, of course, is not the end goal. And that's one thing that I have not been able to communicate very clearly until this point. The purpose of this current game is just to lay the foundations and build the distribution of the tokens and the NFT cards for that next layer. So, of course, we're working very hard, as we just discussed, to develop this core game and to make it as deep as possible, because it will always be the core engine of this Mintoverse. But I wanted to make it clear as well that this game is the engine, not just the destination. Now, I can't share too many details about what's coming, but I do want you to know that I have personally begun developing the vision of this future, and it is very, very exciting. What I can say as a little bit of a sneak peek is that this next layer of the Mintoverse is going to be a resource-based world with plots of land that can be owned and traded as NFTs, where the current Mintopoly cards can be applied onto your own land to generate resources that are essential to this world and its operations. And those resources can then be bought and sold against the Mintopoly money tokens on an open exchange. So it's essentially a dynamic real-world economy with land ownership backed by the Mintopoly money token and powered by the NFT cards. So it's really mind-blowing to me. I cannot wait to share so much more about this in the very near future. But again, the current core simulator game is an essential part of whatever visions are to come. We have to get that right first, and we're very, very focused on building it out to include everything it needs for a long and sustainable future, because everything that is to come is really only made possible by the NFT cards and the tokens being distributed to the community members who care about this game. And that's incredibly powerful, because as we expand into something much bigger, that just wouldn't work if there was only one central authority that had all the tokens and was just doling them out and had all the control. But here, it's a whole different situation. It will be thousands of different people who all have a share in this world because they have been so passionate about this game now. So in that way, an entire free market world can emerge from the beginning, because there will be thousands of individual participants, because of how we're all working together to build this incredible community and distribute its resources in the game right now. So together, I think we will be able to do some amazing things this year. Thank you all for your support. If you need anything, you know how to reach out to me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.